Over the last 5 years, I've learned 25 lessons that took me from living paycheck to paycheck to building a net worth of over 250,000 euros as a European millennial. So in this video, I'm going to show you what those lessons are so you can stop worrying about money and live life on your own terms. Number 1, I have a question for you. Who taught you how to manage your money? Well, probably no one. My parents never talked about money when I was growing up, so when I started having some money, I just tried to follow their example. The fact is, my parents aren't great at managing their money, and they grew up in a world which was completely different from the one I grew up in. Houses are now much more expensive, salaries are not that much higher, and investing is now super simple. This means that basically everything I learned from them about money is definitely outdated and often wrong. And because the same is happening around the world, the common knowledge about how money works is often wrong, and it leads many to make enormous financial mistakes that leave them with money problems for their whole life. And this is why whenever you receive any type of financial advice, even now watching this video, you should always question it and understand first if what's being said is valid, and second, if it is applicable to you. And you will see that it's often not the case. Number 2, have you ever seen how many people manage to get fit but then struggle to maintain their shape? I'd say that's the case for most people. And it's like this because it is actually more difficult to continue doing the exercises and keeping the good habits for a long time than just doing it once to lose weight. And it's exactly the same with money. When I started working, some older colleagues told me how much they were earning. A lot of them had salaries of over 100,000 euros. But despite that, none of them was really rich. Just think about all the footballers making tens of millions per year, but then struggling with money like Ronaldinho or Adriano, who risked bankruptcy. This is because having a high income doesn't mean being rich. You could be earning millions and living an amazing lifestyle, but as long as you don't build wealth, you will never be rich. Because making money is one thing, becoming wealthy is a different one. And it is much more difficult. So if you want to become rich, you shouldn't only think about how much you earn, but also about how you build your wealth. Number 3. Now tell me, how do you think a good restaurant manages to continuously make good dishes? Well, the right recipes that cooks use for every dish they make. So basically, they develop a simple system that allows them to always cook well, and even if a new chef arrives, they just have to teach him the recipe and the dish will be good. But if we talk about money, most people, as I also did, do things without a clear plan. And this just leads to making mistakes, and accumulating money gets difficult and slow. This is why if you want to improve your finances, you need to have a simple system that helps you manage your money. This way, everything will get easier and you will even have more money than before. Number 4. Since I was a kid, I've always liked playing all types of sports. And that's what I continue doing to stay active. But my girlfriend hates it, and so she goes to the gym. She has more fun and it just works better for her. The point is, staying active is important, but how you do it is personal. Some people run, others lift, and others do yoga. And it's the same thing with money. There is no unique path that everybody has to follow. Each person has their own personal objectives, and their finances should be based on that, because otherwise it would only lead to dissatisfaction and not being able to live life on your own terms. This is why you have to define your own path to reach your own objectives. Number 5. Back in 2022, thanks to a colleague, I discovered that in life you can play 2 games. One day, he arrived to work with a brand new BMW M3, and I was super jealous, that's an amazing car. But I knew he couldn't afford it. The thing is, he was playing the game most people do, the status game, where basically you use your money to show what you have, to improve your status. This means buying a new cool car, an expensive watch, and always doing luxury vacations to post on Instagram. And so, despite being a little jealous of the nice car, I was at peace with myself, because I knew I was playing the other game, the one you should play too, the wealth game, where basically you use your money to generate more money. It might mean developing yourself or investing, for example. This is the game that will help you have more money in your life and be able to do what you want. So if this is what you want, play the wealth game. Number 6. Now imagine that you love football. You're always talking about the last game with your friends, and over time, you get to know all the teams, all the players, and how they're performing. You could say you're an expert. But what if you didn't have anyone to talk to? Would you still have developed all this knowledge and skills? I doubt it. And it's the same with money. But unfortunately, we live in a culture where talking about money is taboo. I grew up with my parents always telling me to never share anything about money because it's family stuff. And I'm sure every parent did the same. So now we are in a world where nobody talks about money, meaning no one learns about how to better deal with it. And down the line, this means that you, me, and everybody else lose opportunities because we don't know enough about money. This is why you have to start talking about money in your life. You will learn more and more, and it will get easier to have more money in your life. Number 7. This year my father retired. He's been working for 40 years and now he can finally enjoy some free time. The thing is, he could have retired 15 years ago, but he didn't know he could. Everybody sees retirement as an age milestone. We read all the time, you have to work 40 years before retiring, you will work until you're 70. The reality is you retire when you have enough money to live for the rest of your life. So it's not an age milestone, but a financial objective. You might be 40, but if you have enough money to live your whole life, what would block you from retiring? This is why you should know what your enough number is. That's how much money you need to be able to stop working and do whatever you want. This way, you will have control over your retirement and you won't make the same mistake as my father. Number 8. My parents always told me the same. Study, get a good job, and retire. That's what a good life looks like to them. And I think it's something all our parents think. The thing is, they grew up in a generation for which the highest value is to work hard and have a successful career. But now it's not the case anymore. Most European millennials, myself included, are more interested in having a good work-life balance so that they can enjoy life rather than just working hard all the time for the sake of a career. But it's not that easy, because we all have this little judgmental voice in our head saying we should do as our parents say. I was doing as my parents said, but I wasn't happy. So I changed how I approach my life, and now my career is much more fulfilling. I have more money and I'm happier overall. This is why you should sit down, take some time to think, and design your own life in a way that is good to you. Number 9. Now, imagine you've just finished dinner and you have a pile of dishes to clean. You could wash them one by hand, but it takes a lot of time and it's super boring. So instead, you use the dishwasher. Well, you can do the same with money. Because yes, managing your finances can be long and boring too. But since I'm lazy, I had to find a way to make it faster. And now it takes me basically no time. Because as soon as I receive my salary, part of it goes to my savings account, part to my investing account, and part to my fixed expenses like rent, taxes, and phone bills. This way, I literally have nothing to do. And you can do the same super easily, because you just have to automate all your transactions. Number 10. When you're trying to lose weight, one of the most common pieces of advice you might receive is to track every calorie you eat. And it works really well, if you manage to do it. I never managed to properly track my calorie intake for long periods, and it's exactly the same with money. One of the most common pieces of advice you can find online is to track and budget every cent you earn, which in theory is great, but it's just too complex to do for a long period, and most people just quit. But it's important to know where your money is going. This is why, to make it easier, you shouldn't budget every cent, but only track the main expense categories like fixed expenses and savings. Number 11. Back in 2021, I felt like despite my efforts, my bank account was not really growing. And I was trying my best by skipping dinners with friends, traveling less, and spending less for me. But it wasn't enough, and it was really frustrating. And it continued like this until I discovered a simple rule that made accumulating money much easier and faster. I call it the 30% rule, and it is one of the most important money rules I've learned. It's very simple. It says that every time you receive your salary, you should save 15% of it and invest another 15%. This forces you to always set aside this money before spending it all on other stuff, and it helps you grow your net worth much more rapidly. So if you want to have more money, use the 30% rule. Number 12. Imagine you buy a good bottle of white wine, and you want to keep it for a special occasion, so you leave it there waiting. But years pass, and when the occasion finally comes, the wine is not good anymore. That's exactly the same with money. Just accumulating it in your bank account is useless, because in the end, money is also made to be enjoyed. I was always trying to save more and more money without actually spending it for myself, but it didn't feel right. So to change that and allow myself to use some of it, I created what I call my guilt-free money, which basically is money I can spend however I want without guilt. If I want to go to the restaurant, I use this money. If I want to travel, the same. If I want the latest video game, same again. By having defined this guilt-free money, I feel better about how I use my money. And so, to feel better about your spending and actually enjoy the results of your hard work, allocate around 15% of your income for guilt-free money. Number 13. Every time a new console is released, I want to buy it. It was the case when the PS5 came out, it is the same now with the Switch 2. The thing is, despite being expensive, this impulse of buying it is super strong, and in the past it made me spend thousands on stuff I never used. But I wanted to change that, and this is why now I use the 30-day rule. Basically, whenever I have the impulse to make a bigger purchase, I write it down on my phone and wait 30 days. If at this point I still think I need it, I will buy it. But if I don't, it just means it was an impulse and that I don't really need it. Number 14. Imagine you're on a budget to buy a new car, and so, to not spend much, you buy a very used car with more than 200,000 kilometers. The thing is, you will probably have to bring it all the time to the mechanic for little repairs. And then just 1 year later, the car will stop working and you will have to buy another one. So at the end of the story, you spend much more than you would have by buying a car in a better condition. But that's what most people do with things like insurance and clothes. Just think about all the fast fashion stores like Zara and H&M. The fact is, buying cheap stuff could be less expensive on the spot, but over the long term, it gets much more expensive because you continuously have to replace them. So when you purchase something, think also about the lifetime cost of the product. Number 15. In 2019, I filed my first tax declaration. It was horrible. I spent days understanding how to do it, and in the end, I still made an error. So the year after, I got my taxes done by an expert. In just 10 minutes, I had done everything, and in the end, I even got a refund that was much larger than what I paid for the service. The thing is, we all often make huge effort and lose a lot of time to save some money. But it's not always worth it, and sometimes we're better off paying for a service than doing it ourselves. I mean, you could learn Chinese on Duolingo, but if you pay for a teacher, it will definitely be faster and easier. This is why you should always ask yourself if paying for a service might actually save you a lot of time and effort for just a little price. Number 16. Imagine you're out in the nature on a sunny day. You're walking and enjoy your time, but suddenly the sky gets dark and it starts raining as hell. The thing is, you don't have an umbrella or anything else to protect yourself, and your nice time in nature is now ruined and there's nothing you can do about it. It's the same with money, except that what would be ruined could be your life. Because if you have a sudden emergency like losing your job or paying for legal expenses, if you don't have an emergency fund, you will find yourself in a difficult situation that could impact your life for a long time. This is why, to protect yourself from worst-case situations, you should always have an emergency fund covering at least 3 months of living expenses. This way, whatever happens, you will always have a cushion to fall back on and restart. Number 17. Back in 2022, I was working over 60 hours per week, trying to always do better and get a promotion. But it wasn't really bringing results. Actually, I was just getting more and more tired. So I decided to change my approach to work. Instead of working hard every day, I tried to find ways to make my job faster and easier. I built templates, I automated tasks, I built systems. After some time, thanks to those, instead of working 60 hours, I was working only 40 hours and delivering even more. I was now able to focus on things that actually mattered, instead of wasting my time with the little and useless tasks we all have to do in our jobs. And this was the key to all of my fast promotions that led me to manage part of a factory of a multinational company at just 29. So the secret to grow faster in your career is not to work hard, but to work smart. Number 18. Imagine you have to do a long road trip. Would you use a car from the 30s or a new car from last year? Well, the new car will definitely be a safer choice. And it's the same with work. Companies hire and give raises to the person that has the best skills. And not only hard skills like programming, but also soft skills like presenting. This is why you should always try to improve your skills, because this is the way to grow in your career. Number 19. When I got my first job offer, I was super happy. I liked the salary, and so I accepted the offer. But then, once I started, I discovered that colleagues with my same experience were earning up to 20% more than me, and there was one only reason for that. They negotiated their salary before accepting the offer. So, at this point I clearly tried to negotiate too, but it was too late. This is why now, whenever I receive a job offer, I always negotiate my salary first. This is the moment in which you have the most leverage, and if they want you, they will always be willing to negotiate. And over the long run, this could mean tens of thousands of euros of difference. Number 20. When I first started living by myself, I was a terrible cook. Even making eggs was difficult. But over time, cooking every day and trying different recipes, it became much easier, and my dishes are now much better than they used to be. And money works exactly the same way. It is difficult in the beginning because you don't know how to make more money. But over time, trying new things, learning new things, it gets easier. You could say that money is like a muscle that you need to train. And so the more you learn about money, the more money you will be able to make. Number 21. I'm not a big fan of going to the gym. So to force me to go, I use a simple trick. I go with friends. This way I'm much more motivated because they're doing the same, and we learn all the time from each other. And it's the same with money. If you're surrounded by people that are always spending all their money, you will do the same. But if you have people by your side that have a better mentality towards money, it will get easier for you to do the same. Number 22. In the past, to find any type of information, you had to go to a library. But nowadays, everything has changed. And we even have tools like ChatGPT that can answer any question we have in a couple of seconds. The fact is that investing has seen the same type of transformation. In the past, only the professionals had the knowledge to invest because it was really difficult. But now you can find all the information you need to invest online, and there are simple financial tools that anyone can use with very low risk. So investing is now super simple, and doing it could mean having hundreds of thousands of euros more by the time you retire. Number 23. Investing professionals spend their days searching the best stocks to buy so that they can outperform the market. But the reality is over 90% of European professionals have lost to the market over the last 10 years. So if professionals can't beat the market by stock picking, how could you ever do it? Well, this is why the greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett, as well as several Nobel Prize winners, say that there is only one good way to invest: diversifying your investment over the long term by buying ETFs, exchange traded funds. Simply put, ETFs are financial tools that copy the performance of a specific market or sector. This way, they are very diversified, meaning their risks are extremely low in the long term. And this is why you should be investing in ETFs. Number 24. Imagine you're a surfer. You might be waiting for the perfect day to go surf and catch the best waves. But who knows when it will be? Maybe you can even miss it because the weather is difficult to predict. And so you end up never getting the good waves. But if instead you go every day surfing, you will definitely have more chances of getting the good waves, right? That's exactly how investing works. If you wait for the perfect moment to invest, you will end up losing strong market gains that you didn't expect. Timing the market is too difficult. Nobody manages to do it. This is why it has been proven that the best way to invest is to keep your money on the market for the longest period possible. And this approach not only gives you the best potential returns, but it also makes your risks close to zero. So always invest thinking about long term and not based on what could happen in the short term. Number 25. Back in the 90s, my father made a mistake that cost him millions of euros. The saddest part is that he thought he was doing the right thing, but only recently he understood how big of a mistake it was. And the same could be for you. The fact is that since he didn't know how to invest, he asked advice from whom he thought would help him best, his bank. So they made him an investment portfolio and managed his money over the last 30 years. The thing is, this portfolio wasn't made to help my father earn money, but to generate fees from his money. The truth is that financial professionals often do what's in their best interest and not yours. They sell you expensive products that underperforms cheaper ones because like this they receive a commission. So always be extremely careful whenever you receive financial advice from financial professionals and make sure they're really looking for your best interest. The thing is, investing might still feel difficult and you might be afraid to lose all your savings. Over the years, I've helped many people start investing in a simple way that anyone can do and that is not risky. And this is why I've made a video in which I explain exactly how you can start investing your money as a European millennial so that you will be able to have hundreds of thousands more when you retire. And you can find this video here.